Good evening, everyone. You see a picture of Park Lane in Dallas, Texas, and I used to live in the condos back in for about 16 months in 1980, and for 3 months toward the end of 1980, I had a boarder that I supported. It's the only time I've supported somebody in my life. I paid somebody else's mortgage in the 1990s that had bought assumed note from me, and then I got paid back. That's the only other time. That's sort of maybe a social credit thing, but that ties into something I'll talk about later. And and the main thing I want to show you tonight is a new website for me, author Bill Boushka, and this is um, in the way. It's author Bill Boushka, but you can see um, various contents. This is contact the author, and you can see excerpts from all three books. What happens, because it was based on this one, but it shows it shows the excerpts from the other two books from Liberty is Stressed if you change this page, and or if you go to this, the first book, The Gay Conservative Lashes Back. Again, you can turn the pages. That's kind of neat. I don't have the reviews moved there yet, but that's something I've got to do. But I'll show them to you in a minute. And other works and media. Um, the blog and I have a separate blog that's my own. I could integrate this into my own account. It's actually set up under my publisher's account, but I will start using it. The purchase links. Um, there's a purchase link for each of the three books. For example, that's the second one, and that's the first one. And there's an order, copy order, and this Camtasia thing's in the way of it doesn't let me move. It doesn't let me move the screen. Um, so let me show you um, a couple of reviews. That's one of them for Blue Ink, and they also they note that this book that the book is somewhat obsolete, and as I talked about gays, the way I talked about gays in the military back, the issue was settled 15 years ago, and yes, that's why I'm working on a fourth book. Um, and then you can look at a couple of other reviews. Here's a Pacific book review of the same third book. Um, and there is a review, the first book, which is actually on a Word document, rather than, and a gay conservative lashes back, and this actually talks more about my issue of in the dorm at William and Mary that got me expelled in 1961, and how I connected that to arguing about gays in the military. So we'll get those issues. I should convert that to a PDF, but we'll get those on that other site. And just wanted also to talk a little bit about let me talk a little bit about those are the the three books. I don't have our fundamental rights anymore, but that will be replaced. There will be a section in the fourth book that replaces this, and we're coming up with a fourth book in early 2026. And then um, I went to the Baltimore Film Festival Sunday, and I saw a film, I Was Born This Way, and it talks about it's a biography of Paul Beam. That's a picture of the Parkway Theater inside there, this review that I did. And then there were some other short films and so forth. But I think it's interesting because the his story, he was a musician and became a pastor that founded the Unity Church. Um, it's early in his life. He has a family crisis where he's thrown out of his house in Baltimore, and then he's raised by his native-born mother, who was 15 when he was born, and then he discovers her bleeding from an abortion, which is an botched abortion, which is another crisis. And then the movie moves toward a more linear depiction of his career as a musician and and then providing many popular disco songs in the 1970s and then forming this Unity Church. And what caught my attention was going back to that picture I showed you from Dallas, was that in the in the in 1980, I had looked into the possibility of sponsoring a Cuban refugee from the Mariel boat lift in 1980. And I went to Catholic Charities and I was told no, gay men could not be sponsors, even though many of the people were gay. And that was a call in the Metropolitan Community Church to find sponsors then. And there was a church, and I think it was called Unity or something like that, but I don't think it was connected with Carl Bean. I think this was before Carl Bean. I think that's just a coincidence. A smaller gay church that did have somebody who was a refugee that didn't need a sponsor, but they needed somebody who could give up his job and spend all of his time with this person, which I couldn't do. But I wound up just the one time I took somebody in. 3 months later, I took somebody in who was homeless from Arkansas for 3 months, and that was at the end of 1980. It's the only time I've ever done that, and so that's part of my own history. My own history. Um, but let me just want to go back to this. That thing from the Camtasia thing's getting in the way of. But this is the new site again. You can get to it from my blog, and I can't show you the everything because this thing from Camtasia in the way it doesn't let me link over it. But I'll give you the link and you can explore it. You can, for the most part, you can see now the material from other books if you click on the links. And when you bring the site up yourself, you're not going to see that. You're not going to have something in the way, which Camtasia's got in the way in my screen right now, so I can't actually do it, which I thought I would be able to. So that's what I have for tonight. I just wanted to introduce this new site to you, and I'll be talking more about the fourth book soon. And I do thank you for listening this evening.